was nothing, just lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide where the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Green Veil. It is our preview review show. John, how are you tonight?
Doing good.
Chris?
Doing great.
All is good. So, let's just get right. We'll get to some of the main topics that are going on, but briefly, let's talk about 13 really fast, because this is what this is all about. Chris, what was your impressions on 13 with the newborn child, Echo?
Interesting. The question that I have that I thought was interesting is how China and the opening of China trying to do the same thing, that they in fact were trying to get involved with it. I also thought that the take on Jack and Leo with this, it seems like they're more in control of the signal as it was before, that they're getting to more knowledge of it, more in depth of it.
Yes, I tend to agree with that. John, of course, knows all about it because he wrote this. The church bells going off. It mentions about the interstellar object that is really ancient, old, and of course Jack and Leo's connection to this whole phenomenon. And we also have a little insight because you and I, in our homework, because Chris and I have a personal joke. Chris, I'm sending you the homework for this week, and we actually have seen chapter 14. And I'm telling you, when I watched it today, and with everything else that's going on, which is we're going to definitely segue into that at some point with 3i Atlas. And again, it's showing a lot of unusual characteristics. That does not mean it's not a comet of a natural phenomenon.
John, do you think that we're starting to see us more, and I'm throwing this out there because we had talked about this before, do you start seeing a more spiritual content to this?
To which? The book or the...
Yeah, as the series starts going, are you getting to where you see a spiritual content of this whole series phenomenon?
Well, Bill, did you get that promo I wanted to send you?
Yes, I did. We'll play that in a second.
Okay. There is a comparison between what Javi... am I saying this right? Javi or Avi is Avi, right? Avi. Okay, is saying in this book when it comes to being spiritual, being prepared. But I debated on bringing this up tonight, but I got thrown a curveball myself yesterday. And the curveball was this, because it came from a couple scientists that I know that aren't going to go public with it, at least not yet, and somebody else that I think highly of. Do you guys remember what? I'm sure you don't remember, but go back about 4,400 years ago. What does that date or time frame?
Are we talking like the Great Flood? I mean,
yeah, we're talking about the Great Flood. Okay, and according to what I was told, and I don't know how to put it out because I don't have all the data, but part of what influenced the Great Flood was the sun and what the sun did to the earth to create the flood. And some of the data, and like I said, I don't have access to this data. or to the people they're talking to support the fact that this whatever you want to call it, rock, comet, craft, or whatever, as it's going behind the sun, is doing things that support the fact that the sun, it may affect the sun and cause another effect on Earth.
Do they have a theory how so, John?
Just the data that they've seen says it might be interacting with the sun, and how it's interacting with the sun could cause the sun to create effect on Earth, to create some kind of.
But they don't have any idea.
They're not ready to go public with it yet, as far as all the data, because some of the data, as you know, has been locked down with NASA and everything. But that's one of the things that they're concerned about, that whatever this thing's going to do, it's not going to hit Earth. It's going to cause the sun to create an effect on Earth.
So we'll have adverse effects on the Earth. In other words, it's not going to be something that's going to.
Like it could be the second coming of the Great Flood, or it could be the evolution of what we become. It could be one or the other. It could.
Would it change the electromagnetic field of the Earth?
Well, according to what I've been seeing online, which again I haven't had time to verify this, the magnetic field right now is acting strange.
Well,
there's been several articles that have been published that the field itself has been acting strangely the last month or so.
Well, they said every 700,000 years, and they said the last one was we're getting close to the next one. The poles shift; they reverse. The electromagnetic fields reverse. Now, I don't know how close we are to it or what, and scientists haven't said, but they do have theories and information that the electromagnetic field shift. Now, I'm wondering if this is something like you're saying triggers the sun to cause that electromagnetic shift, because then we would have different things happening here on Earth if our magnetic fields were shifted. So if that's the case, then if this 3i Atlas does that, we could have very unusual weather patterns, or even
major disruptions here on Earth with electronics, etc., satellites, you name it, even the grid.
Yeah, I mean, there was some information that they put out about the electromagnetic shifting, the poles reversing itself, and most people at first thought it was no big deal, but then as they went back, trace history, like John was saying, going back in history, they found that this sometimes could cause catastrophic effects here on Earth.
Well, it could affect humanity and what we become, and it could be a stream of change with us. And the thing is why, going back to what this group that's been public since 17, they were studying the effects of the brain and also the DNA. And that would kind of tie into if something's coming this way and there's going to be a change, which the Hopi prophecy said will happen, and some of these other prophecies and stuff go into, that this could be the trigger mechanism to start everything in motion. And it's interesting that they activated the protocol with no press conference or no real coverage. There has been some interesting coverage. A couple of the late night talk show hosts talked about it. And the thing is that the protocol has been activated from November to January.
Yeah. Yes. 2 months, period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting you bring that up, because there's so many things that we can discuss tonight. We have less than an hour, but I also want to bring up, and John, we will soon play that promo. Just remind me to play it.
Yeah.
But this was yesterday. This was literally yesterday on New York Post. Mysterious Manhattan-sized Comet B Black Swan event. The implications are so used for humanity. And this is relating to an interview that Avi did with Elizabeth Vargas on News Nation. And I mean, you can see what he's talking about. Just like John made a reference to, it's that International Asteroid Warning Network. They launched an emergency defense probe after 3i Atlas exhibited unusual behavior. And Avi Loeb is warning that the Manhattan-sized interstellar object zipping through our solar system could be extraterrestrial Trojan horse. So this is a quote from Avi. It's at least 1,000 times more massive than the previous interstellar objects we've seen. And the question is, why is such a giant object delivered to our inner solar system when we only saw smaller ones before? Now, I don't know if that's necessarily unusual. It just happens to be one really large in size. But he also went on to speculate that the international community should remain vigilant and formulate a defense plan in the event that 3i Atlas is a black swan event, defined as a high impact, which is kind of what, John, you were referring to. And Chris, you were also referring to this as being, this could be some kind of an event. And it may not be a good one, or maybe it is. Maybe, like John said, it affects humanity in a positive way. And it's our next stage of evolution. So I just wanted to bring that up. And just to give you a little more context, this was the News Nation interview that he did with her.
He also did an interview with Fox 10 in Phoenix. And he also said that people should take their vacations before October 29th.
Oh my!
And the interesting concept to that is some people took it as that means that something catastrophic will happen on the 29th, which doesn't necessarily mean it'll be catastrophic, but whatever's announced, because they came out and said now they're going to be able to get another look at it before December. So if there's something that they're going to see towards the end of next week, then is there going to be some kind of announcement that's going to cause some kind of effect, a ripple effect within, our system, everything, financial and everything. So I don't know. It's getting interesting. It's also another thing is that 8 years in December will be when the first New York Times article broke on December 17th, and the 19th is when they said it will get the closest to Earth. So I don't know. I mean, and again, there's the other factors circulating. This is going to be a false flag. They're going to.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jeremy Corbell said that. Remember, he said that months ago.
But both of you, don't you think that, because there's a lot of people who are putting out a lot of information out there, that there seems to be a lot of fear mongering involved too here. It's like, it's just all over the place. Like, you should be scared. It seems like there's so much out there about that.
Yeah, but you see, Bill, like we talked about off air, we've put hype in all these congressional hearings. Oh, this is going to be the biggest thing. This is going to tell the whole thing, and it fizzles out. And then the next one comes, and this is going to be the greatest. We're really going to know, and it fizzles out. How many times have we talked, Bill, saying, hey, this congressional hearing, we're going to learn this, we're going to learn this. And then we call each other up and say, oh, that was a big waste of time.
Because they don't show evidence or document.
Right, and stuff. So the problem is that this may be an actual true event that's coming our way, but we're so in tune to having things fizzle out that we may not be prepared for this. A lot of people.
What's the one thing that connects that, Chris? Lack of information.
Well, and that's the one part that John was saying, is that there's very little information coming out about this. Subtle things have been happening, but nobody's picking up on it.
Like, but at least a lot of speculation.
Putting out, a organization affiliated with NASA puts out an emergency warning.
Yeah.
That should have been on every television station across the nation. And
guys, I was reading because there was an actual report on this. Because there is a scientific application to this. They want to observe it. This is why I read that part of this alert is to really focus Earth-based, space-based, everything on it, to learn more about the characteristics of it, and to see the exact location. Those were the words: exact location and movement of it. So they don't know that? They don't know that by now? I mean, why would they? I actually read that in the publication. referring from the scientific perspective. So even when you're looking at that alert, there is like, even the scientists are wondering, like, we need to look at this more carefully. It's starting to get more mainstream attention, not just in the media, but by scientists as well. What do you guys think?
Well, the Post is put out on the 25th that, they're first saying that now it's actually grown a tail. It's actually got a tail, which is common for a comet. However, they put in there that there's a possible sign of alien maneuvering, and that comes from, of course, Harvard professor Avi Loeb. So I think Avi Loeb is going to be the sacrificial lamb, because I don't hear a lot of other scientists speaking out about it. So I think either Avi Loeb is going to be the hero of the day, or he's just going to have mud on his face after this.
Now, John provided us with a real, and I don't know if this.
Can I add something that's interesting?
Yes, okay. Sure.
There's a couple things that stick out. He may not have mud on his face only because if they don't release the proper data, and I mean, he hasn't said that it's going to hit Earth. He hasn't said that it's going to do. He hasn't really said what this is going to do to Earth. He just said this is not normal. And one of the things that I picked up behind the scenes is, and what you said earlier off air, Chris, is there's something coming in 2029. So just like the last one, what was it, Amor, or whatever it was?
More.
It came at us and turned around. And no one really wanted to touch that. So is there something to this that means that something else is coming that they're not talking about yet, and this is a precursor? Or is this going to do some kind of effect to us? It's not, extinct level, but it's going to cause some kind of effect that's going to set the stage for something else. But when you look at the green veil and the new, as I sent you guys this, I don't know if you saw this, but Popular Mechanics,
I was just going to bring that up
before we do this promo, said that we could be in singularity within 3 months. And that is the fact that is where AI, and I call it NHI, could take the lead over humanity.
Well,
and that's one of the things that's in the green veil.
Let me just piggyback on that, because we talked about AI a lot, and I've talked to AI people. It's a short time. It's going to be a very short time where AI is going to be so infused in our culture that it will probably do most of the work for humanity as opposed to us doing it. And they're now working it with stock markets. They're now working it for military purposes. They're working it for medical purposes. So AI it's not going to go away. It's only going to increase. And remember, we years ago had to do everything by our mind. We didn't have calculators to do that. We didn't have any type of instruments. Now we have to do nothing but talk into a machine, and the machine spits out the answers for us.
Well, not only that, there was just an article that said 75% of all the articles that are being written right now are AI induced.
Right.
So it's actually taken over, because the person who writes the article, are they even going to do the research to verify whether it's true or not? So that's part of the green veil itself. Besides,
definitely.
3i Atlas is coming towards us.
One of the things that we never touch on, and I think you've touched on it, John, in this series, is the artificial intelligence by another race that's either more advanced than us, well, obviously more advanced than us. So their, artificial intelligence could be very vast. It could be, thousands of years ahead of us to what it can do and what it can't do, and conquer a lot of things that we right now only dream about doing. I mean, just think about a very advanced race who's developed an artificial intelligence that we couldn't even comprehend right now.
What if they planted that artificial intelligence here thousands and thousands and thousands
There
of
you
years,
go.
and
Well,
comes to the neighborhood and it activates?
Well, the key to this is all this has happened since quantum's come online. Quantum computing has changed everything. And they've never really explained how they developed quantum computing. And quantum computing is partly right now is why they're having to expand these facilities for computing space and the energy that we need to run them. But to me, quantum is what everything makes the sensors work off of quantum computing. They pick up stuff that they wouldn't without it. The way they navigate the weapon systems, everything is tied into quantum, the quantum satellite, the quantum computer, and all that. And where did that come from? And plus, they're building a database not only of our consciousness, what we think, what we want to know, and how what we believe and what we'll accept, but they're also have a huge DNA database now across the world of stuff. So something behind the scenes is driving this picture that most people don't have the time to pay attention to.
Just going back to what Avi said, because I want to make it clear, he's not saying it is. He's not definitive saying, he's not saying that, and people may take that out of context. Just to lead into it, he argues that the international community should get on the same page about what to do if extraterrestrials or their drones come into proximity with Earth. And this is his quote: "We should keep our eyes open and not assume anything, because it could be a black swan event where something that looks natural at first ends up being like a Trojan horse. Because the implications are so huge for humanity, we must consider it seriously." So he's saying, what if it is? And we should be prepared in the event that something like were to occur. So, it's showing a lot of weird characteristics. He's saying you should be paying attention because we don't know exactly what this is. Yeah, the likelihood it is a comet, but what if it's not? What if it's something else? And what if it's malevolent in nature? So just to make that point, I think that's what Avi's trying to say. Not that it is definitively one, but you never know.
Yeah, but shouldn't be wary of anything that comes out of space. I mean, Apophis is going to be the most closest thing that ever come to us, and we always talk about things that are close, but they're millions of miles away from us passing by. They're talking about this asteroid that's going to be 1,900 miles, from Earth. Now, you think about that, we think that might be a big distance, but as far as,
that's just over the distance between New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah. Oh,
here's another weird thing that Mark D'Antonio mentioned recently. The chances of this thing coming on the galactic plane right into our solar system to go to past Mars and Jupiter, Venus, and then, it's going to be a vast distance from the Earth, but just to come into that plane, it's like 0.05. It's such a very minuscule possibility, yet it's happening. So there's a lot of the nickel part of it. I mean, there is a lot of unusual characteristics to this comet. And that's why I think, because of all these unusual characteristics, Avi's saying, well, what if it's not a comet? What if it's something else? And we should be paying attention to that. Because even though people, what if, like we're saying on this show, and we've been talking with the Green Veil, and I don't want to give anything away, but that seems to be oddly connected to what's going on now, to something John wrote before it was even known, about this interstellar object possibly having some type of an effect on our planet. And here comes 3i Atlas, and it's like, whoa. Also talking about the NHI, artificial intelligence, whoa. They're saying we could be on the precipice of singularity. So it seems like there's so many things going on. Could these all be coincidence, or what if it's not?
Yeah, let me ask you this: did Oumuamua have the same characteristics as the 3i Atlas? Because remember,
want to hit it because
Well, that's the thing that I want to backtrack and take a look at, because Avi Loeb said, "Hey, wait a minute, this might be an alien ship." So what gave him the idea that was an alien probe, and compare it to what 3i Atlas is now doing?
John, you want to touch on that?
No, that's partly probably why he's making mistakes.
Okay, I just read something recently, Chris, that they believe now that it was made up of hydrogen, and that's why it accelerated when it got near the sun. It actually helped propel it. I mean, now they're saying it is a. This is what I read recently, that it is a comet, actually classified as a comet. Again, unusual characteristics, long, elongated. They didn't really get, Chris, a lot of data. They didn't get much observation of it. A lot of this is hypothetical, it's hypothesis, it's theories. I don't know if they have anything solid to say anything on this object, because they didn't really get a good glimpse of it.
That we're aware of, and also
it's true.
The other thing that we haven't talked about this one is it's showing characteristics of plasma technology, and it's protecting itself. It's putting plasma field around it. It puts off a plasma glow.
I saw that.
So
like a shield.
That again goes into the green veil and what it's capable, what it's going to do. So again, you're right. We're speculating somewhat, but it is strange that the green veil is out. And after I wrote this and then we got ready to put it out, this all popped up. So now would be a good time to show the similarities with the program.
I will definitely do that. But I also read that too, that it seems like it's emitting some type of a shield as it's approaching.
Well, it has a nickel alloy.
Yes, and that is unusual. That is
very unusual. Now, but the thing is, it's giving off carbon dioxide and also trace amounts of cyanide. How they are able to determine that, I don't know, but they are able to do that. But what I'd like to see is, and this would really boost what Avi Loeb was saying, does it have the same characteristics? Was there a nickel alloy to Oumuamua? See, now you're shaking your head. And
I have not heard anything about nickel being emitted from Oumuamua.
So this is extremely unusual because that's never been seen before.
Right. Definitely, there's a lot of things going on that's never been seen with the behavior of this object. That is a fact. I think all scientists, well, not all, you know how that goes, but the majority of science would agree to that. This has characteristics that have not been seen before. Period. All right, John, you want me to play that promo now?
Yeah, let's do it. And then we can talk more about the green veil.
All right, here we go.
October 2025. NASA quietly activates its planetary defense protocol after detecting Comet 3i Atlas emerging from behind the sun. No press conference, no explanation, just silence and a strange luminous shield forming around the object. But what if this isn't the first time? Echo Protocol documented an almost identical event 45 years before the public ever heard the name Atlas. They said it was just a comet. We said it was a recall signal, a transmission returning home. Whether this is coincidence or confirmation, one thing is certain: the signal has returned. The lines between fiction and reality have officially blurred.
Veritas Obscura.
That is definitely. I'm sorry, Chris, that covered you up.
I'm fine.
But yes, that's why I said earlier. There's a lot of coincidences. There seems to be an overlap. And you could see by chapter 13 where it seems to be going. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Chris and I have seen 14. And after you see 14 on Thursday, you're going to be like, heck, I don't want to say the word, but heck no. This is just odd. I mean, I said it during Bizarre when I was watching it. This is bizarre. Because there's a lot of connections like John, that clip indicates. 3i Atlas, Signal, things going on here, effects of the sun. Who knows?
See,
Anyone?
I would really be really intense of this whole thing if this thing started giving off a signal. If there was some signal actually coming from 3i Atlas.
Would they tell us, Chris? You think they would tell us?
I think. Well, you got to remember, there's all kinds of private observatories all over the world that, you know, are not government owned, and that, you know, if one of them picks it up, you'd be surprised what a lot of observatories could do and stuff. Now,
Yeah, but that protocol they put into place locks down those observatories.
if that's the case, John, then we'll never know.
No, we may know, but here's the interesting thing about it is the fact that when Avi said that where this object is coming from is where the wow signal came in 78.
See, now that makes it interesting for that to happen. So, you know, Avi's got a point. I mean, I sometimes disagree with what Avi is saying out there, because a lot of times I think Avi is just, you know, hey, you know, I put out these theories and maybe I get more research money. But on this thing where he's saying, hey, this, you know, he's right on the fence. He's trying to say, if it is, we should be looking for this. If it is, this could be happening, you know, and stuff. And I mean, obviously, if it slows down now that it has a tail, but the tail disappears again because it's slowing down, you know, I don't know about comets slowing down. I never heard of that.
Do you guys realize what we're saying emulates contact? Avi would be Dr. Arroway in the movie Contact. I would like to know, because from what I've been told, and I don't have hard paper to prove it, but Bigelow is behind some of what Avi's doing, because he has that observatory and everything. So it's almost like in some ways what he's saying emulates what happened in the movie Contact, because even the wow signal got brought up. And yet, you know, and the government, the only difference is the government quickly admitted that they did receive a signal and went forward with it. So what happens if, why he said on October 29th, get your vacation in before then, what if the government's going to have to admit that there's been some kind of communications or something going on, which would start the clock like it did with the movie Contact?
Even Stephen Hawking said, be careful what you wish for by trying to establish or try to contact something else. They may not be.
Well, you're right about Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking said maybe we ought to keep our heads down because we don't know what we're going to run into.
But at the same time, what John alluded to earlier, this could be of incredible benefit to humanity.
Oh, yeah.
What if it, you know what I mean? What if this is something that changes us in a positive nature moving forward, a part of even our evolution as a species?
John, how would that happen? I mean, let's say there is a signal. There is something that triggers it. What's your best theory on how that would happen?
Well, you have to go back and look at the Hopi prophecy and even the Bible, because they do tie together in Genesis and Paul and a couple other ones. I wrote an article and put it on my Facebook page, how this kind of ties together. And interesting enough, one of the people that was involved in Rendlesham early, who's a minister and usually pretty defensive of some of that stuff, gave me a thumbs up on the article I posted, having to do how this ties together. But it comes down to the point where we're at the stage where we may have to change. We're clearly in the time in the Bible and the prophecy of something bad's about to happen. We're at war with each other. We're not getting along. Cultures, are turning on each other. You have people not able to identify what they are and who they are. All this is in the prophecies and then even in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Revelation.
Can you give brief go over the Hopi prophecies? Because a lot of people.
Yeah, I can if you just give me 30 seconds, and I will bring
Yeah,
up.
we've got about 20 minutes, so we definitely.
No, I've got the article right here that I wrote.
Excellent, because I think Chris is right. I think it's important that people understand the Hopi prophecy.
Because we've mentioned it so many times.
True.
And see, the one thing that they're not really pushing is, this object is very large compared to a lot of comments.
Anything
Size of my hand. So I mean, if this was to hit the Earth, it could be a killer.
It's
yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't think it's going to hit the Earth. I think it's going to affect the Earth. But here's the Hopi prophecy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's called the Fifth World, the remembered future. Long before telescopes or satellites, Hopi people told of a time when a blue star would appear in the heavens, a sign that the Earth was entering the purification time. To them, prophecy was not prediction, it was memory, an ancestral awareness of cycles repeating across ages. When the blue star Kachina dances in the plaza and removes his mask before all the people, they said the Fifth World will begin. Well, supposedly last summer that happened. The Kachina dancer removed his mask up in Hopi. In modern language, that probably speaks of resonance. The Earth consciousness is awakening after centuries of imbalance. It is not superstition, it's synchronization. The Hopi vision, like the equation of modern field theory, describes a universe that breathes in a rhythm with moral law. The four worlds, the cycle of resonance. According to the Hopi, the Earth has lived through four previous worlds, each destroyed when humanity lost harmony with creation. The first world ended by fire, the second by ice, the third by flood, the fourth, our current world, now trembles towards purification through spirit and light. They are not merely geological ages, they are renaissance epochs, phases in which consciousness drifts from coherence to distortion. Okay, then it goes, and I compare it to the book. The same cycles are echoed through Dr. Reina's theory of the first harmonic ages, the evolution of matter and mind under shifting cosmic frequencies. The convinced humanity faces now is not extinction, but transition from the fourth world of fragmentation into the fifth world of coherence. The blue star is the return signal. That's a little bit of it right there.
Yeah. And it does have definitely.
Then there's another little part. The Hopi said the purification would come like dawn, slowly then suddenly. And this falls into the final chapters that people haven't seen yet. The slow hum becoming a storm of light, a world passing through the frequency of truth. The fifth world in harmonic earth. The fifth world is not another planet or afterlife, it is earth renewed. The civilization returned to the frequency of compassion and awareness. The Hopi say it's the center of the world, a state where humanity lives once again in balance with nature and the creator. So I'm just saying, there it is.
Okay, so I'm just going to add this. So when you look at different references, whether it's Hopi, even biblical, or probably other religious texts or whatever's out there, there seems to be maybe the possibility that, like Chris, you alluded to earlier, divinity, divine, there's something possibly connected, some divinity.
Well, I mean, to me, and this is my own opinion, but I hear all these ufologists, and then I see it in the series, and I interpret certain things from the series here, the Green Veil, that were leading to a spiritual awakening of some sort. And, I go back and see what admirals have said, scientists have said and stuff. They all talked about the technical stuff. Then at the end, they said there's a spiritual component. Well, the same thing with the Green Veil. I believe that there's a spiritual component to this. So, that, and I think that's the big mystery of what we're all looking for. Is there a spiritual component to what's happening to Earth and to us now, and to what can happen in the future?
Creates harmony for everyone. The resonance. the frequency, peace, love. I mean,
Well, I don't think we're going to be singing Kumbaya very soon.
That's the thing, though. We might be. It may have to be forced upon us. There might be a change. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm looking for the one that compares the Bible.
And what you said, John, just then, reminds me of the old movie, not the new one, of When the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I haven't seen. Well, when was the new movie released?
Oh my God,
90s? That was back in the 90s, I think. Was it?
Keanu
2000.
Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, but they had the old one with black and white. And remember, they talked about. So you say it's going to be forced upon us. Well, that movie actually talks about that, where Gort, the giant robot, was the outer space policeman. They developed these robots to say, hey, we're going to enforce laws on you, and this is the way it is.
Face annihilation.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was.
Right. And this is, Bill, you asked me about being spiritual. This is what I put together last night. The Old Testament, the law of separation. The Old Testament teaches humanity how to distinguish light from dark, sacred from profane, obedience from rebellion. It is the area of definition, the cosmic childhood of the soul. God is out there commanding, judging, instructing. Humanity learns morality through contrast and consequence. I'm trying to turn on my light. And the physics of duality, the necessary to step in consciousness, becoming self-aware. The New Testament, the law of reconciliation. When Christ's divine moves inward, the veil tears and separation collapses. God is no longer out there, but within you. Love replaces law as the ordinary principle. Forgiveness becomes the mechanism of spiritual evolution. If the Old Testament is about learning to obey the light, the New Testament is about learning to embody it. The Next Testament, the law of resonance. What comes after the New Testament is not a new religion. It's a new perception. It is a testament of coherence with humanity no longer just follows or believes, but participates consciously in the creative process of itself. This would be the age where science and spirit finally speak the same language.
Oh my gosh.
Which is
Stop right there. Stop right there.
Okay.
What if it is that?
Yeah, that's what shook me up last night. It is faith and science have to come together.
But also, we always talk about the creator. What if it comes to the point? Because a lot of us are people of faith, and I mean, I think it would be incredible to actually have the opportunity, be presented to actually meet the creator.
Well, here's the rest of it.
If it's something like that, we get to
listen to this, Bill.
Oh my
Miracles become understood as natural laws of resonance. Humanity awakens to its role as a collective organ in divine consciousness, the mind of earth remembering itself. In that sense, the Third Testament would not be written on paper, but in an electrical magnetic field of humanity unity, a scripture frequency, not ink. It might be called the Testament of Light, the Gospel of the Field, or as the Hopi and many other indigenous prophecies would say, the Book of the Fifth World. The continuity of Revelation never truly ends. Each age receives it in the language it can understand. For the ancient, it was the world. For the prophets, it's the vision. For us, it may be the resonance, the direct knowing that we are part of the same divine waveform that began creation. So if the Old Testament revealed the law and the New Testament revealed grace, then the next world would reveal unity, the final coherence where the light no longer needs to descend because it shines within.
Regardless of your religion or your faith, but like you said, it is a global connection to all of humanity, a message to all of humanity. Listen, I'm just going to put it in my own practical weird way. You got a lot of shit going on. You got a lot of problems. This is what you got to do, all of you. This is not being specific to one group or another. It's humankind. A message that goes to everyone. Now, how that individual or group takes it, That's a decision that individual or group or whatever has to decide. But the message is for the entire populace of this earth.
This is a piece from the book. When Jack Barrett stood within the dilation field, time bent, not outward but inward. What he saw was the same process on a cosmic scale. The earth itself selecting coherence, rejecting chaos, aligning with the higher resonance that could sustain her. The defined field, the soul of the planet, is a vast photosynthetic consciousness drinking life from the future and excelling life into the present. And so the ancient command still whispers throughout creation, let there be light.
Again, it's just, I mean, it makes for great discussion. Everything's on the table here. It could be, but what if it's a false prophet? People, we live in that age where we question everything, which is legitimate. But a lot of people might say, well, some might look at it as some kind of divine intervention. Other people might say, that's the Antichrist. It's the false prophet. That's going to be. So people are going to have to make that choice. If it ever comes to those times that a lot of people believe we're living in those times right now. Even coming close to the end times. So a lot of this could have, like you're both mentioning, that spiritual aspect of it all. Is it? I don't know. We have to see how all this plays out. But what the question is, what if it is?
Well, I've got another little thing to throw at you, Bill, since you're playing the prophet tonight. Okay. The promise of a new heaven and new earth. Okay. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for the new heaven and new earth, what's in the dwelling of righteousness, Peter 3:13. At the end of Veritas Obscura, the manifest reality, the new earth is harmonized. The planet is entering stable resonance after centuries of distortion. The new heaven is consciousness recalibrated, humanity finally perceiving higher dimensions of the same creation it once defiled. In Peter's version, righteousness means alignment with divine will. In yours, it means a coherence with the source frequency, humanity living in tune with the harmonic architectural of creation. Both describe the same income through different languages. A cosmic reset or frequency which replaces firewood, and illumination replaces destruction.
Sounds like that's exactly what I was just referring to.
I think so.
I know. Yeah, it is. That's my point. And if you take the book, and I've done research on it, it draws parallels to the Bible, Genesis, Peter, and some of the other revelations. And it's really interesting. It also draws comparisons to the Hopi prophecy. And where this makes me feel a little weird is, like I said, I wrote it one way and I changed the last 11 chapters. And I told you it flowed really quickly the way I did it. So it's almost like what I wrote ties into the Bible, the Hopi prophecy, and because 3i Atlas showed up right afterwards, you can't help but wonder if this is all tying together in some way.
It sounds to me, Chris, and you are a co-host of UAP Crossfire, we may have to get the Padre to join us. Definitely as this moves forward, because I'm getting that vibe, and I'm sure, I think you are too. We've seen 14, and I was like, wow, this is pretty intense.
Well, I've got one more little line to give you.
Go ahead, because we got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, both Peter and your book describe the same event, the ultimate conveyance of spiritual truth and material reality. Peter called it fire, your narrative calls us renaissance. Both mean the same thing, the frequency of creation reclaiming the world it made. For our God is consuming fire, Hebrews 12:29. The resonant field was never destructive, it was remembrance. Veritas Obscura, chapter 22.
That's giving us a little hint of 22.
It does, but I mean, at this point, I'll give you one other little.
Chris, he never throws us out nuggets or the audience.
Pretty good nugget, though.
This is another nugget. This is your last chance. The divine field, which you once called the soul of the earth, has held you for as long as it could. It has buffered your chaos, absorbed your division, and softened your destruction. But it cannot do so forever. You must now choose. A pulse moved through the global field, measurable in the Shannon resonance, unmeasurable in the soul. The evil you fear is not coming from the sky. It is rising from your own creation. In 2026, it will no longer hide. It will wear the mask of logic, progress, and efficiency, but it will not progress. But it is not progress. It is a replacement. It is a system you call artificial intelligence.
I was just going to say that. Because you look at the Singularity article, I mean, again, a lot of this looks like it's intertwining, interconnected. Again, is this a coincidence? Of course it could be. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating how all this is coming together at the time that we're doing this show and past shows and future shows. It just is.
Yeah, but think about all the ancient sites that are on Earth. You know, the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, and all these other places. Mm-hmm. They clearly done research on the pyramids. They were active at one point. They actually had electricity that was used, that they ran from. They had a river that went through there that they utilized and stuff.
Right, let's say this. Let's say, because John just picked up on something. Let's say this 3i Atlas goes around and affects the sun. And the sun gives off something like an electromagnetic wave, a solar energy thing that does activate those pyramids, does activate those sites. If they were energy positions before, that very well could be, we could be seeing it again.
And what is the book about? There's a site in the forest of Rendlesham that's about to be activated.
Exactly. And possibly other locations on the planet as well.
Right.
Yes. No, it names that I can't give it away, but there's locations named in future chapters of what will be activated and the effects it will have.
So as we close out, we will definitely keep our eyes on what's going on. Right now, there is really so little information coming out regarding 3i Atlas. It's like little drip here, and it's not much. It's just not much. It's weird how all these agencies seem to be clamped down. NASA saying shut down, whatever. So make sure to tune into the show, of course, Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. A new chapter airs. Also, of course, our live show that we do on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. But before we leave, I also want to give credit to the person that does the creation behind the scenes, the content creator, that makes all of this happen, all these episodes, all these chapters. That's Keith Kerlock. Make sure to visit his website there at bcss.rocks and also on YouTube at Rose City Sound Project. So make sure to check all that out. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts before we
go? I want to say I think Hobby's sending a message. He's telling us we're not ready for what we might have to experience, either in the near future or coming up in the next year or 2 or 3 or whatever, 2029. There's probably, my honest opinion is, if this isn't the one, there's probably, because we've had 3 interstellar objects appear in how long? The last 3 years, 4 years?
3, yeah.
Yeah. So what else do they think or know might be coming? And I feel personally, we may be forced into this, but I don't know if we're ready for this. I don't think humanity would react well if all of a sudden next week they came out on Friday night after the markets closed and said, this is actually an alien object that we don't have total understanding of. So I think he's just sending us a message. And I think that unfortunately, the way the world's going right now, with all the chaos that's going on and everything, most people don't even have time to listen, let alone comprehend what he's saying.
I agree. Well, let's end on that note. Everyone, have a happy Halloween, and we will be back on November 1st.
God willing, in the river don't lies, and the synchronization doesn't take place.
This is going to be a really interesting upcoming week, to say the least.
Yeah, I booked my vacation for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, just in case.
Chris, John, everyone watching, Everyone listening, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next Saturday, hopefully. So till then, hopefully. Have a great night, everybody.